thought, let me try to list all the valuable things we get from Prabhupada's books and what are actually the secrets. I decided to call it the secrets of reading Prabhupada's books because actually not a lot of people know these things. So I started writing down all the things that I could understand, made it so important to read Prabhupada's books. And I started writing this list and it started growing and growing and growing and it went beyond one sheet of paper. And every time I started sharing this with other devotees and asking the other devotees, what is it that you feel is so important about reading Prabhupada's books, and picking up their realizations, it started growing and growing and growing even more, and I had to start making it really come onto several pages. So I think I'd like to start by just asking around, what do you feel are the real benefits of reading Srila Prabhupada's books? If anybody would like to say. What do you feel are the real benefits of reading Prabhupada's books?
So, I started with Bhagavad Gita in 2001. And before that I read other Bhagavad Gitas in India. But when I started this Bhagavad Gita Prabhupada, I observed that there is something which I could not follow. I read again and again, 5-6 times I read that Bhagavad Gita, and then I could understand that this Bhagavad Gita is different from other Bhagavad Gita. Still I could not got the message properly. Then I joined the ISKCON in Sharjah, and I practiced devotional service, and I could understood that this Bhagavad Gita is really very helpful, and I could realize what is the proper way of life. And after then, when I got initiation, I started preaching, and what I was doing in India, in Delhi, I was just gifting the Bhagavad Gita to the pupils. And after some time, people were curious to gather. And then I started the Bhakti Vaksha class there, and more people were benefited by the reading of Bhagavad Gita and other books of the Prabhupada. So this is my observation, that if any book of the Prabhupada is reaching to someone, definitely he will turn from this material life to the spiritual life. All glories to my Guru Maharaj, Japataka Swami Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
So your practical benefit is you find it not only illuminates, but actually touching people's hearts in a way that other Bhagavad Gitas don't reach.
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else like to offer something they feel, just really succinctly, the real benefits of reading Prabhupada's books? Anyone?
I feel like when I read Prabhupada's books, it really takes me off the mundane platform. You see the world in a different way when you deal with Prabhupada's books. You can deal with issues differently. Whereas if you're not reading, then somehow you just get caught up in a mundane consciousness. You don't notice it, but you really see the difference when you actually get absorbed in reading Prabhupada's books and deal with things.
Great. Coming off the mundane platform. Yeah. Very powerful. Thank you. Anyone else like to
So again, one more observation here in Glasgow. I started to gift this Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada Bhagavad Gita in Glasgow, and now there are 7-8 families. They come to my house on alternate Saturdays, especially to get this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. They discuss on Bhagavad Gita only.
Very good. Very good.
So,
this is wanted. Prabhupada actually wanted very much that we read and discuss these books so that we get very good information, because this whole principle of sharing realizations of what we're reading is very powerful. It starts to illuminate things. Just like Prabhupada is giving these verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam, but he explained that Shastra without purport is more or less useless. But what Prabhupada does is he discusses the verse, he opens it up, he brings so many important points which unless we discuss it, we miss, actually. So it really helps bring everything to life and make it very relevant and very active in our lives. So these are very powerful things to discuss, and I'm personally very happy to hear that. We've been having book reading groups in Leicester for a number of years. Every Tuesday we've been reading Bhagavad Gita for usually an hour and a half, and sometimes it goes on for 2 hours. And on this basis we spent a year and a half going through step by step the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita, because it's very, very powerful stuff. And by these deities, I'd only been in the movement about 9 months actually, so it was quite unusual to find out, oh, this is something very new, that actually we have deities. Because when I joined, what we had on the altar, both in Manchester and in Scotland, we had the pictures of Panchatattva, and we had the Guru Parampara. That was what we had on the altar. And surprise, surprise, in Manchester, still we have the pictures of Panchatattva and the Guru Parampara, Guru Gauranga temple. So we learned something about the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. We didn't know much about Radha and Krishna. Still don't. But actually we learned something about Lord Chaitanya, and gradually we learned to appreciate their qualities and their mission like that. So these were our deities, these were our worshipable deities, Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and the Panchatattva. So in due course of time, over the years, gradually we've started to begin to understand something about who is Krishna, who is Lord Jagannath, who is this very beautiful consort of Sri Krishna, Srimati Radharani, and begun to try to appreciate who these persons are who have just appeared in our lives in a very extraordinary way. And somehow or other, they've captivated our attention. Somehow or other, we're trying to become more captivated by them. And all of that happens by one very powerful thing. It's called association. Association of devotees. By that association, gradually everything changes, just by association. So in London, we used to go on morning walks with Prabhupada on odd occasions, which was a very wonderful experience. I can never be really sure which park it was we were going, and I have a feeling it was St James's Park, but it could have been Regent's Park. But I remember being very puzzled when I came to the temple the first time, because I'd actually, on one of our not so salubrious experiences of having an all-night intoxication session, someone had handed me a Back to Godhead magazine, and that really changed everything. That was where I felt I actually first met Prabhupada, by reading an article that Prabhupada had written in Back to Godhead magazine. I could still remember the words that just sort of struck me like a thunderbolt. And the words, I remember the cover even, about that magazine. It was a beautiful yellowy picture, background, but on the front there's Krishna and Balaram, these two beautiful cowherd boys, and they're strolling through Vrindavan, accompanied by so many other cowherd boys, and very beautiful calves and cows. And inside, there was something so poignant that just said, hello, something really powerful. Prabhupada was describing how the youth of today are becoming very frustrated. Nothing much changes. But, absolutely. But Prabhupada was saying that people simply wind up becoming hippies and start roaming in impersonal void concepts. And I just thought, what? Here's someone who actually knows what's going on, can actually understand what's happening, and just can see it and present it so clearly in a nutshell. And so I figured, definitely have to find out some more. And so within a few days, fortunately, this friend of mine and I came to the Hare Krishna temple in Manchester. It was a little building, a little house in a terraced block. You know, all the terraced block means all the houses are just side by side in a whole long row. And there was this one house, and I remember standing on the doorstep and thinking, whoa, this place is different. Yeah, this is like an island in a whole cosmic flux. It's something solid in the world, and we've got to go inside. And I went with this friend of mine who actually, surprisingly enough, seemed much more eager to join the temple than I did. And we went inside, and we met up with none other than Mahavishnu, as he was Mahavishnu Das Brahmachari. And he started explaining everything to us. And of course, what he did first of all was he brought us some prasadam. Very powerful stuff, as everyone will appreciate, I'm sure. But what it was probably the leftovers from the guest's plate, which were normally saved, as I later discovered, for the Monday morning breakfast. We used to do that in those days. For breakfast, we would take what was left over from the guest's plates from the Sunday feast. That was our morning prasadam. That carried on for some time until Sakshi Gopal Prabhu, he was having his morning repast, and he found something very chewy, and he discovered it was somebody's chewing gum that they'd left on the plate. So we desisted from that practice. But anyway, they gave us Maha, yeah. Someone who had come, who was interested to come and hear about Krishna. But they gave us, Mahavishnu gave us this delicious prasadam, and they had lots of this lovely wet fruit salad. And it was just the best thing we'd ever tasted. And he was such a nice preacher that he explained and he answered all of the questions that I had. And it became obvious that the only thing to do was just to move in. Actually, must admit, I didn't even ask if I could move in. I just said, okay, well, I guess I have to move in right away. And so, after a few weeks of learning how to offer my food at home and chanting Hare Krishna at the top of my lungs all the way to college every day and back on the park, across the park, somehow or other, I became, I suppose, a little bit purified and able to actually move into the temple. And the experience was very nice. But it took some time. It didn't happen all at once. It took some purification and gradually a taste. So all these things together, the taking of nice prasadam, hearing from Prabhupada, having the association of devotees, these things are all really important to help us actually get encouraged and build up the strength